Patrick, the Wild Wino at Table Mountain Vineyards and Winery. We're here today to talk a little bit about some useful ideas and tips that you can do after pruning. We have 10,000 grapevines, and we seem to always have a lot of great grapevine cuttings, and a lot of people always ask us some creative ideas what to do with their backyard vines. So today we're going to talk a little bit about making grapevine wreaths. And I would say the skill level to this is pretty much as easy as it gets. Some of the tools you'll need will be a nice pair of pruners, your favorite wine dog, that's Molly right there, a pair of pruners, some needle nose pliers, or just regular pliers, kind of tin snips. You'll also need, maybe optional, is a good sized bucket to help soak the cuttings and get them a little more pliable. I also recommend using a tape measure. And what the tape measure does is just keep your diameter of a grapevine wreath, like one I've started here. It just kind of helps you from getting it too small. A lot of times when you make these wreaths, one of the biggest problems is not ever making it big enough. So just a tape measure to kind of outline how big you want your wreath, and that'll help you kind of set up a template. We'll put that away here. And then the last step, or last, I guess, item on the list would be some wire. And it doesn't have to be too fancy, but what I like to do is actually take some old just barn wire or field wire and go ahead and make a template for your wreath. Again, the tape measure comes in handy here, so you kind of know how big your wreath is going to be. I also sometimes just wing it, but you'll kind of notice that your vine starts to get smaller as you continue to go. So what we do here is just go ahead and make a template with your circle. I've got one kind of started here. And depending on how many grapevines or cuttings you have, we have a good amount here, thanks to all of our pruning efforts. I'll go ahead and get some out of here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, I have gotten a piece of wire here. I've kind of set my template. And then what you do after that is, as I mentioned before, the tub that we had earlier, if you have smaller cuttings or have some older wood that you're going to use, sometimes it's good to go ahead and soak the cuttings overnight. It'll make them bend a little easier. I find that the grapevines just kind of look natural either way. You get a little more kind of rawness if you do it this way. And so I just go ahead and don't even worry about soaking them. And then what you do here, and this is where the pruners come in handy, because sometimes you will have a piece that's a little longer. I do like my cuttings to be a little longer because you can actually go ahead and start to make that shape without as much work. And what we'll do here is I just kind of start at the top, and I will just go ahead and start wrapping. And you can do this one of two ways. You can go ahead and start twisting it throughout the circle, so you're basically avoiding having to come back later and wire and snip everything together. And you just kind of weave it and get it going through there. And then a lot of people like to tuck that kind of last piece in there, and that's maybe where you can wire it shut at the end. But I just kind of like mine to go natural because obviously it's made from a wild plant and you want it to kind of look something you can't get at any store. And don't worry if you have smaller cuttings. You can just, again, just start at the top. I kind of leave a little fold of the wire, so that's always a good starting point. And you really don't even have to weave it. You can just start going around the shape, and when you get to the end, just do one little tuck there, using the vines that you already have, and just keep building on that as you go. Again, this is a very simple, easy way to do it. You can go big, you can go small. A lot of people also, I've seen, go ahead and get like a 5-gallon water bucket and actually make their shape around the bucket as well. And I'll be the first to admit my vines don't always necessarily end up being in a circle, but you can go ahead and kind of just keep working that as you're done. And when we get done with the wreath here, feel free to jazz it up with any bows, garland. One of the unique things about this is you can carry this wreath throughout the season. So put a garland or Christmas bow on it, some lights during Christmas. As Easter rolls around, you can change the bows out and really make it just kind of a wreath for all seasons. It's great to hang on the outside of your door. The vines themselves have been weathered, and so it makes just great for great rustic decor. We're actually working on building a much larger one for the entrance to the winery. And we hope that it's going to be a lot bigger, and so we'll see how that holds up over the time. And then the last tip I always have to offer is to go ahead and have a sip of wine, maybe a glass. It's a very calming, relaxing project, and with a little bit of Wyoming wine, using some Wyoming grapevines, you'll have that perfect made in Wyoming. For any more information from the projects you've seen today, or just to learn more about us, visit us at wyowine.com, or search any of your social media sites for Wyo Wine, and start to follow us and sip and learn some great tips along the way. Until next time, I'm Patrick, the Wyo Wino. We hope to see you again. Cheers.